you call me your baby when you're holding my hand.
Welcome to the world of Eric Powell's The Goon, okay? Welcome to a world of, like, maybe it could be the 1930s Depression era, and you got movies out like Freaks out on the black and white, and you got the gangsters, and you got like the EC horror that, you know, came out in the 50s of zombies and monsters and all kinds of things, mixed with like some roller derby influence, hot cars of the freaking 50s, kind of like what the monsters rode. And, you know, you're going to be a man's man in this world, and you're going to be, you know, you're going to fight your battles with, you know, anything from a claw hammer to an axe to a slapjack to brass knuckles, you know, to, you know, your chances of getting to a knife to the eye are pretty good, you know, and stuff like that. All right, now The Goon, Eric Powell and The Goon is one of those books. It's one of the, I've said this like from the beginning of me making videos and stuff. Whenever I did a haul video, or I would go to a Heroes Con and talk about meeting Eric Powell and all that stuff, you know, I was always like, I want to do this one day. I want to do this one day. And it's kind of nerve-wracking, man, because I don't want to make a super long video, yet I want everybody to kind of get what The Goon is about. And the truth is that you need to just go out and buy it and experience it, because there's so much stuff in there. It's not overwhelming. It's fun. It's a creator-owned book where this guy is just like whatever he wants to put in there that kind of fits into this world here and there. And, you know, the continuity really just kind of follows the Goon and Frankie and a few other characters, you know. And we'll get on talking about those. Now, the funny thing about the Goon is that it's one of those books that when I've recommended to people and told them to go buy it and check it out and stuff, I've yet to hear anybody not like it, not have something cool to say about it, not praise, you know, have something to praise about it. Probably around 2006, 2007. My friends that worked in a store in the mall, they sold video games and comic books and stuff. I kind of turned them on to the Goon and Eric Powell. They got them ordering and stuff, because the first place I heard about it was probably like Wizard magazine or something. Came on a little, you know, came on early for the Dark Horse series, but Goon had already popped up three or four times in other places, and I'll talk about that. Anyway, so what they did is they got to go to a retailer convention. This is what's so funny. I'm the guy that's in Eric Powell. I'm the one that kind of told them about this book, and they go to a retailer convention probably up in Baltimore, and it's one of those conventions where only store owners and their employees and managers and stuff, don't know what's up with the hat, are the only ones allowed to go. You know, they have people there selling things, and Eric Powell was there, right? So I gave them my Action Comics, where Eric Powell was going by a script by Richard Donner and I think Jeff Johns maybe. And they were doing a Bizarro story, which is just perfect, you know, Monster Superman, you know, just perfect for Eric Powell, and they're going to get it signed for me. They come back, they have prints, they have trades, stuff that they were giving to retailers for free and all this stuff, and they've taken my backing board out of one of those comics, and Eric Powell had drawn a sketch of the Goon for him, and I'm like, this isn't right. And this happened several times over the years. I would turn somebody onto the Goon, they would end up meeting Eric Powell and all that stuff and talking with them. So in 2013, when he comes to Heroes Con in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm finally there, there's about, you know, a line of maybe, I don't know, 7 or 8 people and stuff, and I'm actually kind of like bouncing, and I got some of my books and stuff, and, you know, and I get up there, and Eric Powell turns out to be a really quiet guy. I put a picture at the beginning of the video of him. That's Eric Powell. Real quiet guy, real nice, you know, stuff like that. And here I am. First thing he does is he says hello, and I'm like, I don't think you understand how heavy this is that I finally get to meet you. And I go through that whole story with him. And he's like, well, you know, I'm glad this has finally happened. And now he was pumped into it. We ended up talking about a few things, which was really, you know, kind of bizarre, because he's just such a nice guy. And with all these crazy things going on with the Goon, you just wouldn't expect to have it come out of this guy, right? So just to get onto it and stuff, you know, I got a lot of Goon stuff here. We'll probably go through it, and a lot of this stuff is signed. But basically, the Goon, okay, he started out as a Monster Boy in '95, and he's just kind the character's just evolved over the years into what we have here you know, as the Goon. I think Eric Powell really just wanted to do a monster book, have a book where, you know, just lots and lots of monsters and excuses to do it and stuff, and have things in there. And he ended up coming out with the first version of the Goon through Albatross Press. And the only person I've seen over my years on YouTube, which doesn't mean other people don't have it or haven't shown it, was Captain Strangelove, of course, right? So, you know, Eric Powell was down in the trenches. He's a big advocate for creator-owned books and stuff, and so, you know, he just really packs it in there. His art is amazing. He has a real blocky style that I can kind of tell is influenced by Kirby, but it's also influenced by the EC guys. And the thing about it is, though, is that you can see influences in his stuff. I've even picked up some Will Eisner, but it's all him, man. I mean, he's probably one of the most unique artists and writers out there doing his thing, man. And the guy's from Tennessee. So in this world, you know, we had Goon, and there's Frankie, that's his buddy. I'll talk about him in a minute. There's the priest and the zombies, the slackjaws and all the stuff, and he fights trolls and everything. These stories just go nowhere. Here's number 3. Apparently I missed the number 2, but this is my favorite story of the Goon. It's sort of them as kids, how Frankie and the Goon met, and how they become such good friends. But the Goon pretty much started out, I mentioned the movie Freaks, if you know what I'm talking about. If you're an American Horror Story, you'll probably know what the Freaks are, the Ramones and stuff. The movie Freaks, where they used real sideshow carnival acts in the 50s, you know, to tell a story. You know, one of us. But anyway, the Goon was being raised by his aunt, who was the strong woman for a circus. And there was this gangster named Labrizio, who, you know, he does protection money and things like that. He's got his hands and everything. And the police show up, and the Goon's aunt gets killed. Probably the only person that kind of gave him any kind of love and stuff. And Labrizio kind of was like, called her a stupid bitch or something. And the Goon, at like 6, 7 years old or however old he is, picks up a rock and kills him. And he's able to take a book of people that owed Labrizio money, and he starts this whole fantastic scam of, I'm an enforcer for Labrizio. You're going to give me the money, or I'm going to kill you. And he's really running the show as Labrizio, and this is how he kind of makes a living through life. And at the same time, you know, the Goon has this thing about, you know, his friends are his friends, and it goes from there. And there's people coming into town trying to take over, like the priest with all the zombies live on Lonely Street, things like that. And we get all kinds of different little stories in there. All these great characters come in there. That's the Buzzard. And there'll be a better picture of him in a minute. The Buzzard ran into the priest. The priest is very old. The guy that runs all the zombies, who wears a top hat. He's got somebody's skinned face on his top hat. Really into the occult big time. And he's been cursed. You know, I'm not going to ruin his story there. I don't want to make a long video, but what happened was that through necromancy and things that happen, he ended up becoming the opposite of a zombie. He's alive, but he has this insatiable hunger for zombie flesh, so the zombies are afraid of him. And he comes down, and he's got his cowboy hat on, he's got his long flowing robe, and he's got 6 shooters, and the guy's just mean. And all of a sudden, like I said, you know, looks like a movie poster, man. You know, instead of you know, this is what the fun of the Goon is, man. Okay, you got La Grotto Hombre, you know, a horny toad lizard or something that's kind of become like a Godzilla type and stuff, and there's that story. And then we pop up to number 7, man, and we got a great, fantastic Hellboy story here with pages where I think Eric Powell started going through a divorce or something, so he put his son in here to set up the story, I think. Not this one, probably the other one. But one of these books has some, he got his boy looking like he's living in Mayberry there, and he's got you know, he's out there fishing, and he reads about the Goon and all this stuff, and decides he's going to run away from home and, you know, get with loose women. You know, it's kind of funny. It's great stuff. Okay, so with these books and stuff, you know, he brings in like femme fatales and stuff. You know, the men are men here, and you hang out at a bar over here, and you do your shots of drink, and, you know, I mean, it's all with humor, though, man. It's not all heavy, man. But when the women come in, you know, they're femme fatales, and their biggest danger is that they can rip your heart apart quicker than they can ever black your eye, you know, and things like that. The vampire had to die. and some fun stories. There's a Norman Rockwell cover that he did of just, kind of hanging out. And when I was reading this, it made me kind of think of the world of the Little Rascals and stuff. And there's times I actually could hear that music, dun, 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 all that stuff. Every now and then I got a little Three Stooges feel in there, man. So somewhere down the line, here's a Christmas issue. So somewhere down the line, they brought in these kids, and they called them the little bastards, the little unholy bastards, and they kind of worked for the Goon. Goon kind of gave them something to do, so they'd stop following them and stuff. And they have their own little messed up little adventures. And then we get like some sci-fi in here, kind of, the mention of the flesh-eating eye. And as you go through the books, even though they don't, and then Dr. Alloy showed up. Dr. Alloy is really cool, man. Really makes you, I can almost hear the Misfits singing Astro Zombies whenever he pops up. It kind of cracks me up, in my mind, just like an ode to those old 50s thing. Here's the Goon with his big mugshot. And these characters that come in there, man, I pulled up a Wikipedia page just to pull up all the characters and stuff, but their buddies are like, there's this, giant spider that wears a derby and carries a cigar, and he's like freaking Cliff from Cheers or something is what he reminds me of. And somebody's always freaking out when they walk in there into the bar. He's ended up getting punched, he's ended up getting shot, he had an arm ripped off, and everybody jumps up and takes up for him and stuff. Frankie's always running his mouth, and Frankie has a girlfriend that you eventually see, but he's always on the phone with her, or he's yelling at her and stuff, and act like he's going to backhand her and stuff. It's just, and he's so little and skinny, and he doesn't have the eyes like Little Orphan Annie back in the day. It actually comes off humorous, There's the Buzzard. Great character. Always great when the Buzzard pops up. Like I said, I always had those, this is the Will Eisner issue, I think. I started seeing the Will Eisner in this, man, because that could be sans serif, I think, from the Spirit. And then, like, the priest, man, he starts, you see the rise and fall of the priest, and there's a big mystery to who he is. And when you hear his origin story, could he be Rumpelstiltskin? Maybe he is, maybe he's not. That's kind of coming out now from what I understand. And there's always like these other little monsters popping up on Lonely Street. Number 18, recurring characters. But like one of my favorite things is that they had like this great adventure that could have been a Looney Tune cartoon. As the way they were as fast paced and how they ended up in all these different places and fighting, and just action was going and have a joke in there and stuff. And then all of a sudden everybody kind of looks around. They realize they're in the woods, and I think they were by the train tracks or something, right? And they were like, oh no, it's the hobos. They were in like the land of the hobos here, their little corner of the woods and stuff. And hobos in this world were cannibals. And right when, the shit was about to hit the fan and he thought they were going to have to fight, out comes this Bob Dylan looking dude with his guitar on his back and speaking a language to all the hobos. And you don't know what he said, but you get the gist, and he looks just like Bob Dylan. And, and once you figure that out, the secret language of the hobos, who are cannibals, the secret language is, Bob Dylan speak. Hey, where's you? I'm not going to do it here. There's people that watch this. I don't want to embarrass myself, but hey, that was awful. I'll never do that again. What's funny is when I'm with my friends, we sit around and we'll hear like old metal songs and stuff, and we'll pretend stuff like what would it sound like if Bob Dylan sang "Welcome to the Jungle," stuff like that. Here I'm on camera, I can't do it, but I think you get the idea. There's all, I think this book ran up into the 40s, and there's been some assorted miniseries, so I'll kind of get to that without doing this stuff. But, just the covers alone and bragging on this stuff is just so fantastic, I think it's just so good. And it was bi-monthly back in the day. Some of these covers are just amazing. It was bi-monthly back in the day, and then he decided to make it monthly and, told a pretty good story there. And then he did some other projects, and he would put the book on hiatus and stuff. I'll just kind of show you some of the better covers. All this stuff. It was really, really good, man. And the whole time he starts leading up to what happened to the Goon's face. Why is he scarred? Why is he blind in that left eye? Why does he think he's an ugly monster? Who broke his heart? And they reference Chinatown every now and then. Frankie'd be like, Chinatown, and if I ever see that bitch again, I'll kill her, and all this stuff. There's the villains, some of the villains on here. But these villains are just so unique, it would be a disservice to do them and stuff. And, he'd bring in some guys to do some covers here and there. I think this might be the sequel to Chinatown, number 29. I'll show Chinatown in a minute. This is Frankie. His big line is knife to the eye. His story is just fantastic. Yeah, and then Got a little bit of color. That's kind of an ode back to the Albatross days with that green cover, I think. Yeah. And, you know, Eric Powell always has something to say. You know, sparkly vampires are, you know, yeah, he doesn't like Twilight, you know. And then Roxy the Light, that's a friend of his who's a burlesque dancer. She's a real person. He put her in the book. He's also into roller derbies in real life and stuff. He supports them, does posters for them. I think he has a team that he either owns or is friends with. I don't know. But yeah, and then like he'll have something to say about the mainstream comics industry. You know, a little bit, making a little bit of fun with them. And I love this issue, man. You know, when the book started coming back out again, man, he started bringing in the hot cars and the greasers and stuff, man. So freaking good. Yeah, and of course we all, you know, if you're into this book and all that stuff, you'll see the backstory of the priest as he goes along, you know. And then this one blew me away. I ended up getting 2 of these, man. He came out with What the Goon, you know, this is one of those, I guess, computer colored, I don't know, man, but you know, that's what the Goon would really look like. And yeah, I think you get the idea. You know, some recurring characters. And Chinatown, before I show you some of the trades, Chinatown, man, I put this in a couple of videos. This is signed. Eric Powell did a sketch in it for me and stuff after I told him the whole story. But he'll put a sketch in it if you have a hardback to begin with and stuff. But you know, he warns you after all the humor and everything that's going on. First page is this ain't funny, and this is just a heartbreaking tale about Chinatown. How Goon got scarred, how he lost his eye, and who broke his heart. And when you see how Frankie talks to the girl who broke his heart, you get that Frankie loves the Goon, man, and nobody is ever going to hurt him while he's around ever again. You know, he'll back you up. So of course you can, you know, get all these like in trade. I get the trade because he's got sketch covers and stuff in here, and I usually get these on a hustle. Rough stuff. I definitely got rough stuff, because this is all the stuff I was telling you about before they went to Dark Horse. So you can see the Goon and the stories kind of evolve and stuff. And, you know, like he put his son, he used his son to model Goon as a little kid and stuff. You know, you get some behind the scenes stuff. He dressed his kid up like the Goon and had him, you know, model for him, which was great, fantastic. Okay, and then you have these fun books, man, like, you know, this is actually by Brendan Small and Eric Powell, Deathlock versus the Goon. If you're into Metalopolis, Deathlock, you know, I'll say that 15 times. And then you had the one where there's Satan's, if you get one issue of the Goon, you need to get Satan's Sodomy Baby here. I think that's what it's called, man. But there's a little bit of thing where Eric Powell swore up and down some lady from a church was saying, you know, trying to get this band booked, Satan's Sodomy Baby and stuff. So they got a little bit of hype in it. Eric Powell signed and put a sketch on it there for me, man. But if you get one issue of the Goon, get Satan's Sodomy Baby. It's freaking hilarious. Oh my God. You know. Of course, there's a 25-cent special incentive that they did, you know, to kind of get the book going. He puts out some stuff during Free Comic Book Day usually. And then when he went on hiatus to work on some other projects and stuff, he let people come in and do their own Goon stories. Patton Oswalt, Mike Ploog, Bill Morrison, Steve Niles, Ryan Sook, Eric Powell himself, of course, John Arcadi, Kevin Nolan, Roger Landrich, Scott Alley. See if there's any bigger names there. Roberto Ramos, Tony Moore, Guy Davis, guys like that. They all came in, and he came out with a 3-issue anthology series with a host, of course, where these guys all did short stories. And the Patton Oswalt story is just freaking hilarious. You know, the Goon War. And, of course, you can get that in trade. I think this was actually given to me because I was a Goon fan or something. You know. So they're all in there and stuff. And that is just fantastic. Different art styles, great stories. Just some fantastic stuff. And the last thing I'll show you there, because I think you get the idea of the Goon now. You know, I can see me sitting there. It's the kind of, the Goon world is where I would go to the bar and be sitting in the back shooting pool. I mean, it really does feel like my kind of place, you know. But I got this. I showed this back in 2003 when I finally completed it and stuff. But we got some prints here that I got at HeroesCon signed by Eric Powell. Yeah. That's that one right there with the great big monster with a fedora, and that's a fedora, man. What everybody's wearing now is a trilby. It freaking kills me when they get it wrong. But fedora there, that's an exclusive print you got at Heroes Con. And this is something I got from a store or something. They gave it to me, and I showed it to him, and he signed it for me. You know. So yeah, check out the Goon. I wanted to be more funny in that video, man, but I'm sitting here reminiscing about the stories, and I feel like reading it again. They're just fun stories, humorous stories, scary stories, heartbreaking stories, femme fatales, giant monster octopi, you know, that ride hot air balloons, cannibal hobos, spiders hanging out smoking cigars, Frankie always, you know, ready to, you know, poke somebody in the eye with his knife. Just great stuff. Brass knuckles, slack-jawed zombies getting split in the head with axes, and just such good stuff. Anyway, check it out. Later.